Shining.
How's it going, everybody? With the upcoming release of Doctor Sleep by Mike Flanagan, I decided to go back and rewatch The Shining. This is a movie I just watched for the second time in my life. I saw it for the first time about 4 or 5 years ago on Netflix out of curiosity, and I don't exactly remember how I felt about it then. It just really isn't my kind of movie. I just like slashers, you see? Yeah. But this is an okay movie. It's very good. I know it has a lot of fans, and I know it's one of the best horror movies of all time to a lot of people, but it's just not my favorite movie. But it's still a good movie. It's by Stanley Kubrick. Came out in 1980 and stars Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, aka Momo. And it takes place in Colorado, I believe, on some Overlook Hotel. And I think you know the story. Why am I telling you the story? You know the story. So, what are my thoughts on this movie? What's my personal experience with it? Well, I just told you. I've only seen this movie once before, and now I'm watching it again, and I have some questions. This movie is basically one of those ambiguous movies that tries to be so ambiguous that you can just debate it, and there's theories, tons of them. This is a movie that was completely different from the book, so you got like the people who are like Stephen King purists and hate this movie or think it's okay, but they wish it was like the book, and then you got people who are like, nah, the book sucked and this movie was amazing. I've never read the book, so this will not be like a comparison video where I'll be like, well, in the book they do this. I don't know. I don't read. I just don't. What do I like about this movie? First off, what I really noticed this time is the camera work. This movie really makes you like feel like you're in it. The way that Stanley Kubrick uses the Steadicam to like follow characters from room to room all the time. There's so many tracking shots, like the maze, the hallways, and the three-wheeler. Jack, when he's walking down the hall, losing his mind, just going. I don't know what the fuck he was doing that day on set, but I guess that was like the 50th take, and he was just, I've had it. That's what makes this movie so great, probably also, is because Stanley Kubrick like really just made them do like 100 takes, and then by the end of it, they were just so fed up with shit that even Jack Nicholson, when he's like axing the door, you can kind of tell like the way he's delivering his lines. It feels like he said it like 50 times. He's like, "I'm coming in, and I'll huff and I'll puff." You can tell he's had it.
Then I'll huff and I'll puff. And I'll blow your house in.
But yeah, I love Jack Nicholson in this movie. I think he does a great job. It is a little over the top, but I think that really works. I like his over the top performance, especially in the third act. And Shelley Duvall is okay here and there. She's really mixed for me. Like, she's okay here, and then she's just very weird here and not that good. She's almost like a child. Just her character. She felt like Jack Nicholson was married to a fucking like 12-year-old. She just seemed immature for her age. I really enjoy all the iconic shots and the creepy, eerie imagery. That's really what I think that's what Stanley Kubrick mainly focused on, was just imagery, because he was a still photographer. So there's all these like shots that you could tell there's a lot of thought put into it. I don't know how the hell they did that one shot like above the maze and it kind of just goes down. It's like a crane shot, but not really, like from 1,000 feet up and just goes all the way down. Amazing shot. You got the elevator blood shot, the tracking shot of Danny going down the halls, all kinds of little moments from here that are just iconic. The twins, so many great things. And I like the ambiguity, like the fact that you don't really know what the hell's going on, and they throw things in here that kind of like point to other things, like, well, it could be the fact that this was built on an Indian burial ground. It could be Jack's just losing it, and he has this deep hatred for his family, because it never looks like they're a happy family from minute one. Anybody else? You could just tell from Jack's face when he's driving the car to the hotel with him that he's like putting on a fake face, like, yeah, honey, like, I'm so excited to be living in this hotel with you for the next 5 months. No, he probably has this inner hatred, and that's what makes him kill them. Or is it ghosts? It really, like, there's one moment especially where it's like, yeah, this is definitely some other shit going on. But then they introduced the alcoholism. He was an alcoholic. Now he's cold turkey. He's done for 5 months now. Maybe that's what helped him lose it. Because they introduced this idea that there was other people who lost it, but only 10 years ago. But what about the 10 winters between then? Is it not happening every year? Like, why 10 years ago and then why now? Is it like a every 10-year thing? Or did that really happen? Was it bullshit? I don't know. There's so many questions, especially that last shot of the movie raises all kinds of questions. If you thought you had it down by then, that last shot makes you go, well, I guess I don't know. I like that this movie takes its time with certain scenes that just make it more unsettling, like Room 237 when Jack is making out that one woman and she turns out to be like a nasty old corpse. When Jack and his son, I keep calling him Jack, yeah, his name's Jack Torrance, right? Yeah. Jack Nicholson and Danny, when they're having that conversation, like, you wouldn't hurt me, would you? And he's like, did your mommy tell you that? And it's just so unsettling. I love it. Love all the emotion. Like, this movie just makes you feel uncomfortable. Like Hereditary. It's another reason why I love Hereditary. It's so unsettling. I also just think the idea of you losing your mind and wanting to kill your family that you love, if Jack Torrance loved his family, I don't know, because we don't see that much. And that's like my nitpick for the film, but I'll get to that later. But just the idea of like you loving your family and you would do anything to protect them, and Jack says it like, I would never hurt you, Danny. You know, I love that. I think he's at the bar. He's like, I would do anything for that little fucking son of a bitch. And then later on, he's trying to kill him. I think that's just scary. Like, to think that you could just lose your mind and then try to kill your own family that you swore to protect. That's pretty creepy. I really like the hotel design. I know they built the exterior and that was like a stage or whatnot. But the interior, I think that was a real hotel. I'm not sure if it still exists. I haven't done my research. Maybe it exists. I would love to see if that inside the hotel, wherever that is, if it's still like an actual structure you can go to and visit. I would go in a heartbeat. But just the way it looks is gorgeous. Even Shelley Duvall says it. This place is beautiful. But then it turns creepy once shit starts hitting the fan. It starts to, again, make it more unsettling. The fact that this place looks so gorgeous, but something so terrible can happen inside. I also like that they purposely made the hotel feel like a maze, kind of foreshadowing the maze outside and how it's going to come into play later. Like, the inside of the hotel's a maze, and there's an actual maze out back. I also think it's just smartly written how they kept them trapped there, and they put them in the worst part in Colorado you can be in the winter, where there's 20 feet of snow everywhere, and there's 25 miles of road on a mountain just to get to that place. It reminds me of The Thing. You got the threat of outside and inside. It's like if you're inside, you got a crazy axe-wielding father. If you go outside, you got the climate that's going to kill you. So I just like that in movies, because it's like, oh shit. Damn if you leave and damn if you stay. And the score to this film is so iconic. As soon as it opens up, you just are like, I am in for a dark ride. It's intense. It's maniacal at times, and it gives you this sense of like insanity. Just the way it sounds, it puts you in that mindset of the characters. Like, it just gets insane, and you can tell that there was just so much thought put into everything, including the score. Now for my little nitpicks for the movie, I don't give a shit about that section of the review. Shelley Duvall, man, she was not that good. And maybe that's because of Stanley Kubrick pushing her too much, that she kind of just gave up and wasn't trying that much. She's believable here and there, but overall I just felt like she was just odd. I don't care for her acting that much. She stands out. And if my son was doing a finger thing, I don't care how old he is, I'm putting him in an institution immediately. That is some creepy ass shit. Why are they not trying to treat that? They don't try at all. And they were like, yeah, he's been doing this for about 6 months. It's like, you haven't done anything about that yet? He's talking to his fucking finger. I know, but he's a kid. No, fuck that.
Remember what Mr. Halloran said. It's just like pictures in a book, Danny. It isn't real.
The whole Dick Halloran character, I've never read the book, so maybe this is only in this movie because it was in the book and that was one thing that it borrowed, but what does it do for the film? Like, plot of like Jack attacking his family and whatnot? Like, what was the necessity behind that character? Because he comes into the film later to just add to the body count, which was 0 at that point, and then provide an exit vehicle, just like Haunt. That movie that just came out, 2019. There was a character who was talked about in the beginning. He was in it, and then he was gone, and then he came in at the very end just to die, add to the body count, and provide an exit vehicle. I feel like you could easily write out Dick Halloran's character in this movie and just have him escape on a bobcat that Jack Nicholson didn't destroy. There, boom, he's out of the picture. I just explain his character and why he was needed. Maybe I'm not seeing something, because this is a difficult film to understand, because there's all kinds of weird stuff in it. But yeah, I don't understand his character, why he's there, what does he provide to the story. He explains The Shining. doesn't really explain too much. It's like, oh, it's just a thing that some people have, and that you can talk in your head, and I just know you have it. How do you know that Danny has it? And why is that important? What does this shining thing in Danny's head do to help him with Jack? Was Tony, his finger, helping him escape Jack? Because that was a smart move by Danny in the end in that maze. So smart that you're like, this 6-year-old kid, I don't see how a 6-year-old could think that quick on his feet, out in the cold, scared shitless, being chased by your dad who's wielding a fucking axe. How he was able to think like, oh, I can just retrace my stuff. Like, yeah, was Tony like the mature ghost in his finger, or the boy in his mouth, whatever he calls it? Was that him helping him get out? Like, I don't know. I got questions, and I want answers. I feel like Jack could have used that axe to escape the maze. I know at that point he had a limp and he was freezing, and he had already been running for like probably a mile at that point in that maze, so he's probably too, just exhausted to even try to axe his way out. But if it was me, I got an axe, there's a 13-foot tall hedge in front of me, I'm just gonna axe through it until I escape. And I feel like they could have did a better job with the mental decline of Jack. I just felt like he was a bit insane from the beginning. I think it just has to do with Jack Nicholson's face. His eyebrows, how they're arched, and that devilish grin he has. He just looks crazy, period. So it makes his character look crazy, where he's supposed to be like the loving father, and then, holy crap, now he's trying to kill them, like that slow decline. But it's a quick decline. Some would argue me on that, but I, like Stephen King, think that there was kind of a quick decline in Jack's mental health. And he looked crazy from the beginning, and I feel like they should have established more of a happy relationship between these three characters, because they never have a happy day together. There's not one scene at the beginning where all three are happy. I like how Wendy brings a baseball bat just to go talk to her husband. And she's not intending to fight him, but she don't trust him. She's like, Danny saw somebody in his room, and she doesn't know how to hold a baseball bat. She's holding it in the middle. What a moron. Can anyone explain to me why there's a furry with an assless costume blowing some rich dude? Can you explain that to me? And one last little nitpick will be that this movie lacks rewatchability. It's a long 2.5-hour movie it's a slow build, mental decline of a character who slowly towards the end finally loses it. But there's some neat imagery and creepy iconic scenes and shots that kind of keep you interested throughout. But there are all some little dragging moments here and there, especially with Dick Halloran's character, because I didn't understand his necessity, and I didn't really care for his character in that whole Shining story. I don't know. It didn't really grab me. I was like, whatever. I was more just wanting to see like Jack Nicholson and what he was doing, because he's the most interesting character by far. But it's still a great movie overall. I definitely see why people like it. It's not a high body count movie. If you're a slasher fan, this is not a slasher movie. This is a psychological thriller. But I will say, when it comes to The Shining, this is definitely a classic worth checking out at least once, and I would definitely add it to your collection if you're a horror fan. So go out and buy it. And those are my thoughts on The Shining. Are you looking forward to Dr. Sleep, this 40-year-later sequel? Put all your thoughts of this classic in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button, and you can become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.